Hello, beautiful moms and entrepreneurs. My name is Sharice Walker, and I'm your host of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. This is a place where we come together to learn, grow, and inspire. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello, Unbreakable Mompreneurs. My name is Sharice Walker. I'm your host, and today I have Denise Dielwart here. And this is a topic that I actually have not discussed on my podcast. I'm happy that there's not very many people in this group, probably, but if eventually you will be. And so she's going to talk about grief and how to get past that and living a life and inventing yourself after you have lost a loved one. So for this, she specifically talks about her husband, but it could be a child. It could be somebody else as well. So Denise, why don't you introduce yourself to us?
Yeah, hi, Sharice. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast and speaking to moms about the loss and grief. It's an important subject. Yes, I lost my husband, but I also had children who lost their dad and had to help them navigate that minefield as well. So thank you so much for having me on today.
And well, thank you for being here, especially at 4 a.m. in Australia. I think that is something that we really don't think it's ever going to happen. And you said that you lost your husband at 55. Well, that's young. That's really young.
Yeah, absolutely. He was 55 and I was 51. So I was still, we were in the prime of our life. We got married young. We had our kids young. Our kids had their kids young. Mm-hmm. They moved out young. So at that young age of 51 and 55, we were starting our together life, the life of relaxing and not retiring. We both worked from home, but just being together, empty nest. And we loved it. We absolutely loved it. And then just like that, he was taken away with a blood clot. He was gone. That was it. There were no goodbyes. There was nothing. And navigating that was difficult. It was emotional. I fell to the floor. I didn't know what to do. Mm. But as a mother, what did I do is I stayed strong for my children. Mm-hmm. And honestly, that's the worst thing that we can do. Stay strong for our children. Mm-hmm. Because my narrative, my self-talk, whatever you want to call it, was my go-to was, hey, they've just lost a dad as well.
Yeah.
So I put all my feelings and my emotions to the side. I didn't matter. My kids mattered, even though they were adults. My kids and my grandkids, they've lost granddad, they've lost it, and we do that naturally as mothers, don't we?
Yeah. Well, and I think, I'm not at all comparing myself to losing my husband because I haven't. And although it's like sitting in the back, like I had a miscarriage, right? Actually, a couple of them, and one I was far enough along that I knew it was a boy. And I'm not going to get into that, but how do you deal with that? Like even as a couple, because I'm like, well, what do you do? And how do you where do you put him? And so it's just a very difficult thing. And for me, it's like, oh, okay, I had a miscarriage. Let's move on, because people never talked about that. And yet I went through postpartum that I didn't even realize, like, what is wrong with me? Why am I feeling so down? Why am I feeling so blue? And I realized, oh my gosh, I have postpartum, first of all. And second of all, I'm mourning the loss of a son that I never got to have. And so it's like, we didn't talk about it. And you say, I should stay strong. And it's the worst thing you could do. Absolutely. Like we should have talked about it, because my husband, he was small. I was 13 weeks along. And so I'm like, well, I'm not going to just throw him away. I'm not going to, because again, I'm not going to go into detail, but I had this little jewelry box and I said, I don't know what to do with them, but here. And he ended up burying him in a place that nobody's ever going to know but us and our family. And so we talk about it, and occasionally sometimes we go visit, but it's one of those things that talking about your emotions and not acting like, well, let's just move on, and that's a subject we can't discuss. How do you get people to deal with what happened with the loss?
Well, the first thing is what was born out of my journey, my grief journey, is my flow method that I teach and I help clients around the world with. And the first thing is to feel your emotions.
Right.
Now, that sounds so simple. Yeah, I can feel it. I'm crying. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling down. I'm feeling depressed. All those feelings.
Right.
But those are just the surface feelings.
Mm.
like you had the depression that, why am I feeling so
Yeah.
down? Why am I feeling so blah today? Why am I flat? Why am I irritable? Why am I snappy today? It's underlying grief emotions. And if we don't release those and feel them and go, okay, what is it? What is it? Because beneath that, I mean, regardless of who you've lost, whether it's a child, whether it's a husband, regardless, it's a loss. It's something that was in your life and is no longer.
Mm-hmm.
And we are not taught to deal with loss, are we? Baby is born, like, if you'd carried your baby to full term, you would have been, congratulations, well done. Oh my God, look at this bundle of joy. You're so lucky, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
But because you lost your baby, nobody wanted to speak to you about it.
Yeah, because they don't taboo. Yeah.
We don't talk about things like, oh my God, she's so sad. I don't want to make her sad. And that's the worst thing you or anybody else can do, not speak about that loss. Because that's all we want to do, is we just want to speak to somebody. We want to tell them, look, I'm hurting, I'm grieving. But we don't do that because of shame. We feel shameful.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to make other people sad. We don't want to put our burdens on everybody else. So the very first step is to feel that emotion.
Yeah.
And to really talk about your loss, talk about that person.
Because, yeah, I mean, to you, they're there. And I think there's two. One was in my neighborhood, very, very sudden, much like what happened to you. Another one, well, they were both very sudden. And so it's like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to stir up emotions that maybe you don't want to discuss. And so it's like people, they don't know how to react to you and they don't know what to say. So what advice would you give to tell other people, I do want to talk about it? I mean, is that a good thing? Is it not? What's your advice on that?
My advice to anybody that has somebody that's lost something, the first thing is, please don't say, I'm sorry. That became my absolute hated phrase when I would bump into people or meet people and they'd say, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. Because to the person that's grieving, it's empty words. You're sorry for what? What are you sorry for? I would have people that never met my husband say, oh, I'm so sorry. And then they get these puppy dog looks, because that's how we conditioned is, oh, I'm so sorry. But it's empty words.
Yeah.
When somebody loses somebody so special, with to them, it's a love that's there. It's not a love that's lost.
Mm.
So the person's physical body's gone. They're no longer there. The first thing to say is, how are you feeling today? I'm here for you.
Oh, that's so much better.
Yeah.
And then I think that because in the American culture, I actually write about this in my book. When people say, oh, how are you today? Good. How are you? Great. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, first of all, be honest, but people they're not prepared for the answer. And so if you're saying, how are you feeling today? I need to be prepared that this might be a long answer and I need to be willing to listen and let them talk, because otherwise then you'd probably feel, oh, I'm sorry, hope you're doing better later. It's like you're going to be thinking, wow, thanks a lot for nothing, right?
Yeah, and they also say, we all do it, if you need anything, let me know. Now, the person that's grieving is not going to pick up the phone and say, hey, Sharice, I need you to come over. I need somebody to talk to. They're not going to do that.
Right.
So there again, I'm sorry, if you need something, let me know, are two phrases to really avoid. It's, I'm here for you. How are you feeling? And if they come back and say, I'm fine, I'm okay, because it's, Australia too, we're Western culture. I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm doing great. In Australia, it even gets worse. They just go, good, I'm good. It's like, okay, you're good. Know that they're not, and know that it's okay to sort of gently say, really, just, you're not good, you're okay. Are you, is there anything I can do to help you?
That's good.
So pry a little bit, because in that, and you would have gone through that as well, is you don't want to burden other people. I've got an amazing lady, a client of mine that lost a child at school. She was an adopted daughter, and Naomi died at school, away from home. And she just carried on because she had other children to look after until she couldn't carry on anymore, and her family started falling apart. So in the loss of a child, it is vital for family health and everything to talk about that loss, to be present, to feel your emotions as a mother.
Well, and I interviewed somebody on my podcast, the sweetest girl. I just adore her. And her parents had her because they lost her brother. So her whole life, she felt like she had to step up and be that person. And my son, he just graduated from high school, and I have this cute little 9-year-old that she's just the sweetest person. But I hit me at his last choir concert. This is his last choir concert. And I started uncontrollably bawling. I'm like, what is wrong? But I realized like I'm unfinished as a mother, all these things I want to accomplish with him. And so my 9-year-old's like, Mom, it's okay. I'm still here for you. And so I think we need to teach our children, though, it's not them. They don't need to step up and fill a void that, like, they need to still be who they are. And that's okay, because I don't know. Again, I have not experienced what you experienced, but is that true? Is that not? I mean, what did you experience?
Absolutely. When it would have been about 6 months, 6 to 8 months after my husband passed away, I was in the kitchen, and my son came to do a few things around the house for me and came to visit, and he suddenly disappeared. And I went, where's my son? Where's Quentin? Where is he? And I went outside, and there he was standing in the carport outside, and he was just staring into space. And I said to him, you okay? What's going on? And I just looked at him, and he looked at me, and I said, yeah, I'm his dad as well. And we both broke down, we cried, we hugged, it was the first time after my husband passed away that we both acknowledged that we were hurting, because I realized then too, he's being strong for me and I'm being strong for him.
Wow.
And no emotions are being felt in between. And it was only when we broke down, and this is what happens, is we can't carry this heavy weight around forever.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to be vulnerable, we have to feel. And it was only in that moment that we both had an amazing bonding moment of it's horrible. What happened to us is horrible.
Wow, that literally gave me goosebumps everywhere, because
Yeah.
that's where it all comes back to communication, like letting each other know, maybe you're appearing really strong, but for me, I'm not. And like with my husband, with the loss of ours, he waited for several months as well to say, I'm like, I don't know how you could just throw him away. And he's like, Sharice, I didn't. What? He goes, no, I buried him. And I said, well, why didn't you tell me? I would have come. He's like, I didn't think you wanted me to. It's all this communication type thing that it's just we're afraid to talk. And also, walk me through this too, because one of my friends that lost her husband, her kids, her married children, one of them moved back in. Oh, Mom, we'll be here for you. We're moving back in. And she's like, I don't want to be alone, but I don't know if I'm ready to take you all in. How do you deal with that? What's your advice?
After my husband died too, my kids thought that they needed to keep tabs on me. Where's Mum? What's she doing? How's she doing? What's she doing? I remember the first night I went to dinner with a friend of mine, because they all wanted to move in with me too. And I said, no, I'm fine. I just need my space. I'm okay. And I went out to dinner with a friend of mine. And I didn't tell my kids. I mean, who at 51 tells your kids that you're going to dinner with a friend? Hey, I won't be home. And they're not your kids, are not living with you. It's bizarre. But anyway, I didn't take my phone with me because it was me. That was it. This is my style. I didn't have my phone. I wasn't going to be disturbed. And I got home, and my daughter was there sitting on my couch, because I never locked the house, sitting on the couch. Where have you been? What happened? We were worried. I came to see that you weren't hanging from the bathroom. And I looked at her and I said, I went to dinner with a friend of mine. Oh, well, next time you need to tell us. I said, why? What happens is our kids become overprotective.
Mm-hmm.
Now their role changes, because they know that they've lost a dad, but they're playing the same game as what we're playing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was the magic moment with my son, when we both broke down, and we both were vulnerable enough to break down and just cry. But that took 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, that's crazy. Suicide is rampant nowadays. And I had a
Oh,
cousin who he lost a brother to suicide, and actually I think there was two. And then he had a fight with his wife, but they were okay. And the next thing you know, like I don't even know what happened in the situation, but I had a family member that he ended up taking his life, whether it was intentional or not intentional, he died. So that is a huge deal that a lot of families are working through. One of the ones that I have a really hard time with, I don't know if you know him, he's Switch. His nickname was Switch. He was the DJ for the Ellen DeGeneres show. But I knew him from his dancing, and he was just amazing at what he did. And one day he took his life as well. And so how do you work with people that lost a loved one due to suicide? Because the immense guilt that the families have after that, like if I would have, or how, what do you say to
It's
them? How do you work with them?
really difficult. I'm working with a lady at the moment who she actually found her husband hanging in the shed, and she had the layers in suicide is just unbelievable. She had made up her mind that she was going to leave him because it was just one of
Oh,
those marriages.
yes, it is. Yeah.
And they never had children, so
Mhm.
it was just the two of them. And she said to him, "That's it, I'm out of here, I'm leaving," whatever the situation or the story was around that. And then she went outside and found him hanging.
Hmm.
Um, she's been struggling now for a long time with the guilt.
Mhm.
Her main question is, why did I tell him I was going to leave him? If only I didn't tell him that, he would still be alive.
Hmm. Probably wouldn't have, but keep going.
Yeah, exactly. But this is what we play because our mind plays because we take on that burden. The first thing to realize with suicide is that we cannot control other people's behaviors. It's just impossible. And I know that when you're in that pit of grief and you're in that moment, in that shock, in that sudden, oh my God, they've which I say they've taken themselves home. They're not here anymore.
Mhm.
Is to not start analyzing, what did I do wrong? What did I say that could have caused it? Again, it's going within and in feeling, okay, why did you do that? That's an empty question. We will never know.
Right. And honestly, they weren't in the right frame of mind either to be able to answer that question.
That's right.
Keep going.
Yeah. And this is, and this is why this particular client of mine was going to leave him, because he was never in the right frame of mind,
Right.
ever in their marriage.
Mhm.
He was controlling, he was all sorts of things. He was just a narcissist, he was an awful person to be around.
Mhm.
But we cannot blame ourselves and we cannot take on that guilt for somebody else's decision.
Right.
So with suicide, the first thing is to just breathe and just know, have a knowing within yourself. And we innately know, this is not my fault.
Yeah.
This is not my fault. Even if you have to say that all the time, just mantra it, this is not my fault. This is not my fault.
And I think that that's the thing, that no matter the situation, like I had a loved one who decided to try drugs and overdosed, and
Yeah.
he survived. But I thought, well, if I would have just made a phone call the night before, had I just invited him over, had I done da da da, and then something clicked in me that said, okay, you could have stopped him that time. But if he wanted to do it, he's going to do it some other time. And the client who she did, her husband was very suicidal, and he had actually written something on Facebook like, let me speak to all those people that think you can just get over this. Here's what I deal with on a daily basis. And he goes, and so one day when you, not if, but when you find out and hear about what happened, just know that this is what has been going through my head, like all the demons that he was dealing with for years. And so his wife was constantly, let's go away for the weekend. Let's go do this. Let's go do that when he got on his low places. Well, one day she got frustrated with him because he was in this situation again. And she goes, I can't talk to you anymore, because if I do, I'm going to say things I'll probably regret. And I don't know the entire details of it, but she took a walk, literally a walk around the block, and came home, and he was dead. And
Yeah.
so it's like, you cannot control anybody but yourself. Know that. I think that that's the part, that living to your fullest, with my kids, one thing that I always say to my husband, because the first four are not his biologically. And so when he says some things that can be pretty harsh at times, he says it because he loves them and he cares about them. there's probably another way to say it, in my opinion. And so it's like they leave and they don't come back for whatever reason, a car accident, a school shooting, the things we deal with nowadays, unfortunately. Are you going to regret that? You know? And so I think that those are the things that the only thing you can control is what you say and do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
And a layer to that as well is you still have to honor yourself, though.
Right.
If you're in an abusive relationship
Right.
or if your kids are acting up and acting out, you
Mhm.
can't pitter-patter around them like your friend. She ran out of steam. She ran out of puff. She just couldn't do it anymore because we can't keep
Right.
trying to keep other people afloat.
Yeah. No, you can't.
You know, it's their choice
Mhm.
to be who they are. It's their choice to seek help or not to seek help.
Mhm. Yeah.
When they do commit suicide or they get killed in an accident or something like that, and you've had an argument, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
It's their decision.
Mhm.
And that's the first thing, the very first thing. And that comes into the feeling.
Mhm.
Have the feeling, feel that emotion, feel that loss, feel that love, because you still love that person regardless of what
Right.
they've done to you. But just feel it, feel that, and then no, it's not my fault. We cannot control what another person does. It's just humanly impossible.
And I think you can apply this in so many parts of a person's life. You know, it's loss, and that's definitely something. But for me, it was divorce. And I tried for so many years to make that stinking marriage work. And finally, like you talked about, there's finally a breaking point for me. And mine was, Sharice, you have MS. And realizing I was never having heart surgery on a Friday, having to go back to work on a Monday. And then I couldn't even go up a flight of stairs for 3 months because of all the heart complications.
Yeah.
And like I was literally dying. My body was shutting down. And I had these four little kids to deal with, not deal with, but to raise. And like I realized I cannot do this anymore. I just can't. And, you know, so that was a loss, realizing that, well, if I would have, and if I could have, and if I should have. And it's like, no, the only person I could control. I mean, we were separated for 8 months, hoping that he'd want to come back, and he didn't. And so
Yeah.
that's where when something, I mean, unfortunately, they were taken from you so quickly that you do have to go back to, for you, it was not your fault, but realizing that the loss, no matter what kind of loss it is, what can you do with it? And so you talk about there's a gift in grief and that
Oh,
new
yeah.
direction after loss. So talk to us about that.
There's an absolute gift in grief. Now, my old life, I talk about my old life because it no longer exists. I was a bookkeeper, a tax agent. That's what I did. I worked from home. If Martin didn't die, I wouldn't be doing the work I'm doing now.
Right.
There's the gift. That was my particular gift. And I remember somebody saying to me, Denise, where's the gift in Martin dying? And that was soon after he passed away. And I went, there's no gift. How can you? And I was quite offended because it was like,
Oh.
how can it be a gift in I've lost my husband, don't you? And, you know, 100% in victim mode. Look at me. I lost my husband. Feel sorry for me. And we all go there. We all become the victim. We have to. That's part of our healing journey.
Mhm.
But the key is to not to stay there. Don't unpack and live there, which a lot of people do.
Mhm.
It's always that, look at me, I lost a child. Look at me, you don't understand. No, nobody understands. Even one widow to another widow that's lost a husband, it's different. One mother to another mother that's lost a child, it's different.
Mhm.
So it's not a case of understand and feel for me. It's, where do I go from here? I remember asking myself, saying, who am I? Who am I now? We got married young, had kids young, we lived together, we became one person. And then suddenly at 51, I had to find out who I was. Who am I? Who am I without my husband? Who am I? Who is Denise?
Mhm. It's true.
What do I like? What don't I like? What do I, you know what it's like. All us ladies know what it's like. Our mothers, we do it for everybody.
Mhm.
We melt our life around everybody. He was a steak and veggies man. That was it. So I don't particularly like steak. I mean, I'll have a little bit, but I'm not a steak lover. And after he died, I found myself cooking steak and veggies still. And I was like, what are you doing? Because we get into that pattern. We get into that pattern and that programming of this is who I am. This is just what I do. This is just what I eat. No, it's not. So the very first thing is to actually go, well, who am I now without my child? Regardless of if you've got 20 other children, it doesn't matter. Who am I without the loss of that child? Because that child plays a different, because all our children play different roles in our life.
How long did it take you to look at the steak that you're cooking and go, wait a second, I don't want this. I don't have to cook this.
About a month, 2 months. Yeah, I'm pushing my cart around, picking up food and eggs and stuff that I really don't like. And I'm thinking, what have I got in my basket? What have I got in my basket? Nothing that I want to eat or that I enjoy eating. Frozen fries and things like that he used to, that was his diet, not mine. So it's the little things like that. Now, when we heal and we move forward, it's not the big earth-shattering aha moments and, oh my goodness, I didn't. It's the little daily things that you no longer do, but that you've taken on as owning as yours.
Being divorced, it's same type of thing. I realized I actually can go on this trip. I don't have to ask permission.
You talk, because you mentioned that I started going out with a lot more friends. I started enjoying my life again. Not that I didn't enjoy it, but I started enjoying my life after the loss. And my daughter said to me one day, she said, "You're never home anymore." And I said, and it's just me living in a 4-bedroom house on 8 acres. I'm never home anymore. Well, what do you want me to do? I said, and that's right. I said, because I have my life to live now. And she said, yeah, but it makes it so difficult for us because we can't just drop the kids off with you anymore. And I looked at her and I could see where she was coming from. I didn't take offense to it because when Martin was around, our life revolved around the kids, grandkids, the barbecues, we had a motorbike track out the back for the boys to play with and ride around the 8 acres and everything. It was a different life.
Yeah.
But what happens in the loss, and whether it's divorce, whether it's grief and the loss of a loved one, is that we try and live that old life into our new life.
Yeah.
And we can't. It's impossible because it's forever changed. It's forever changed.
And good for you that you're doing stuff. Like my mother-in-law, she lost her husband. And so I say to her all the time, what would you like to do with your life? Like you have the world is your oyster. What would you like to do? And she's just, I love that you're living your life because that's all you have. You have one life, live it.
One life. When we, especially, and you talk about your mother-in-law, widows in particular, get stuck because, he was the love of my life and I'll never find anybody else. And oh my goodness, I have to mourn and I have to cry because honoring the loss and being happy again is not honoring them. That's the thought process.
But let's take it one step further. And I'm not going to get into her business, right?
Yeah.
But if you didn't love your husband, if you complained about him all the time and he's finally gone, there's no more excuses. Like he was an excuse not to live your life the way you wanted. Yeah. That's, and now you have no more excuses. Now what do? That was an excuse. Get out of your head and figure that one out.
Yeah, it's right. It's right. What can happen, and I've worked with hundreds, if not thousands of widows. What can happen is that they put that husband on a pedestal.
Right.
Okay. He suddenly goes on the mantelpiece above the fire and he was the perfect husband. Even if he was an alcoholic and he was a narcissist and he was everything else.
And you were going to leave him.
Exactly. He goes on the pedestal. Oh, he was an amazing man. Yes, he had his faults, but doesn't everybody? And that becomes the narrative that keeps you stuck because you're not acknowledging, hey, there was a terrible marriage. I was going to leave you. You were a horrible person. And now I'm going to live my life. Now, why does that keep you stuck? Why do we pretend that everything's okay? Because we want to feel okay. We don't want to feel guilty.
Yeah.
Was it my fault? Did I do anything wrong? And if only, and there comes the if onlys, I could have, I should have come back again. Whereas it's acknowledging and saying, hang on, that was a terrible marriage. You were a horrible person. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let Let that part of you, that part of my life go. I loved you. I'm still going to love you. I'll always love you. But I need to let go of that hurt, that anger, that pain.
Right.
And,
Wow. Wow.
and that's the L in the flow method, is to let go. We're
Mhm.
not letting go of the love, because regardless of what anybody does to you, you still love them. Love is not just a tap that you can turn off and go, well, you did this to me, I don't love you anymore. Regardless of what they do, you still love them. That's why women go back and forwards into abusive relationships. It's because there's a love bond.
It's very, very true. And they don't love themselves as much as,
Yeah,
yeah, they don't realize.
yeah.
Okay, so I could talk to you all day. I just think, but my question for you is, there's two questions I've left, but what have I not asked you that you want women to know? Widows or someone that's lost somebody.
For women, the first thing is to honor yourself. Now, I know, but Denise, that's hard. I have my clients say to me, how do I honor myself? What do I do for myself? I know I'll go and have a massage, or I'll go and have a bubbly bath. That's great. But guess what? You get out of that bubbly bath and you're still feeling exactly the same. That is not honoring yourself. What is learning to love yourself? Learning to put you first. It's not selfish. Yet we've been conditioned that don't be selfish. Think of everybody else. It might be just sitting and doing nothing for a day. Everything around you fall to pieces. It's okay.
Wow.
Not cooking dinner for the kids or the family. Going, you know what, guys? I'm not up to this tonight.
Mhm.
I'm just going to be.
That's nice.
Another thing is to journal. But here's the thing with journaling. Everybody says journal, 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 journal. Get it out, get it out, get it out. I want you to not journal about your pain. Journal about your future.
Because you
Journal about your
it,
gratitudes. What am I grateful for?
right? Oh,
Because when we journal about our pain, we're going to get more pain. Because now we're reading it. I know. Look at that. We go down that rabbit hole again. It's challenging to sit there with an empty book and go, okay, what am I grateful for?
but that's where they actually. I have a coach that I've had for 5 years. I love her with my real estate business, and she's always bringing in studies and stuff like that. I love to hear some of the things that she came up or found. But there's a Harvard study with Catholic nuns, and they watched these Catholic nuns, and they talked about gratitude or not gratitude. And long story short, basically the Catholic nuns that were grateful lived 10 years longer than those that were negative. And so she came up with this, it's an acronym. I love acronyms, that it's Thrive. I don't know if she developed it or if she didn't develop it, but somebody came up with it. And so she uses the word thrive. And every single day you should thrive at least 3 to 4 times a day as you're changing your activities. So one of the things is thanks. So the T is thanks, the H is happy, the R is resourceful, the I is looking for the immediate things that you can do. The V is visualize, and then the E is expect. And so when you get yourself in a mental position where you can thrive with your life, and so like focusing on being happy or being grateful, happy, where she says like laugh out loud, like ha ha ha, and do those things because it forces the endorphins in your brain. Like it's all scientifically proven that we do. And instead of this woe is me, like I have somebody that she lost her husband, I think it's 3 years ago now, and she is like still mourning and just miserable, and it's just painful to watch because your life could be so much happier if you thrive and you focus on the positive. And I love that you talked about what are you grateful for, and then to visualize, because tons of research has talked about if you visualize something, like how many times this happens to me all the time. I'm driving down the road, somebody pops in my head, I need to call this person. Okay, I'll
Yeah,
call them when I get home, or I'll call them and I don't call them. And the very next day they call me. I'm like, I wanted to be the one to call. I hate when
yeah,
people have to call me first. And
yeah,
so it's like, follow those thoughts, follow those feelings, because I do believe there's a higher power and they're guiding you. And if you let them guide you, like we're all here for a reason. And just like you talked about, that you've helped probably thousands of women, there was a gift. But
yeah,
how long did it take for you to find that gift?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It took me breaking down because
Mhm.
I went to therapy. I saw the doctors. I try to follow the norm of, oh, just give it time, Denise. Time heals all. And I mean, you know, and I'm saying that in that kind of way because that's what everybody says is,
Right.
look, Denise, it's just only been 6 months, or it's only been a year, or whatever. Give it time. The problem with belief and that narrative is that time doesn't heal anything. We have to take action within that time. So what are you doing within that time? How are you spending it? What are you doing
Mhm.
to help yourself?
Wow.
Because nobody's going to come on a white shining horse, knight in armor, and go, ta-da, here I am, I'm going to save you. We all want that, but it doesn't work that way. We have to help ourselves.
Well, even if they did save you, you're not in a healthy position to, like, you'll probably go along with it and it might not be the thing you needed. You're going to see
Absolutely.
something else.
Yeah, spot on. You know, it's like the caterpillar becomes the butterfly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, while that caterpillar's in the cocoon,
Mhm.
if you open up that cocoon and think, I'll help you become a butterfly, guess what happens? It dies.
Mhm.
It
That's
has to go through all that pain, that struggle, that darkness, that, oh my God, oh, look, I'm a butterfly.
true.
We have to do that inner journey on
Mhm.
ourselves.
Yep.
And that's the missing piece in any grief healing, in any loss, is rediscovering who we are. And that's the, you know, with my flow method is an acronym as well, is for feel, let go, overcome, and become whole. Because we have to feel. Number one, when I've spoken about feeling your emotions, allowing yourself to go down, feel it, be there, be in the pain. But then comes the letting go. What are you letting go of? Because you know what your emotions were, what you were feeling, you can now say, okay, I was feeling vulnerable. Why do I feel so vulnerable?
Mhm.
Why do I feel I can't do anything, helpless? It's letting go of those emotions. It's not letting go of the love.
Mhm.
We have to let go. When we let go, now there's a void. It's like pulling weeds out in the garden. Now there's a void. It's like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
That's when we start overcoming. Now, what is overcoming? Overcoming is not going, well, I'll just get on with it. I'll soldier on. Tomorrow's a new day. I'll just put a new lipstick on. I'll go buy shoes. I'll buy another dress. That's not overcoming.
Mhm.
Overcoming is going, okay, who am I now? What do I want? Learning to love ourselves. What brought me to this? What brought me to this stage in my life?
Mhm.
Is this my belief, or is it somebody else's belief? Like me eating steak and veg, that wasn't my belief.
Mhm.
But I happily went along with it because that's what I did until I stopped, till I realized, hang on, that's not me.
Mhm.
That's the overcoming. And the whole is when you actually start a whole new life. You start reimagining your life. So you start living with intention. You start creating your new life.
That's great.
But it starts with the feel. Now, we can't feel on our own. We cannot get to the stage that we need to be at and to the deep depths of letting go on our own because we get in our own way.
So, what is your advice to somebody like my loved one that I love dearly? She's an amazing woman that can't move on, and so she's stuck. Like, what can I do for that person? Because I want to go and say, look, you have a life to live, and yet I think I would break her heart and she'd never talk to me again. I don't know. I don't know. What is your advice to that person?
Yeah.
Like, what
So
should I do or what can I do?
it's not just talk at her or at the
Right.
person.
Right.
We're very good at that. We come from a helicopter view and we go, you know what? Look at your life. Look at your life. She doesn't want to look at her life. That's not, she's looking back. She's looking in her past. And
Right.
that's where we get stuck. We look in our past. If only I could have, I should have, maybe. Look at the great life I had. Now I don't have it.
Mhm. Yeah.
The biggest advice you can say to her is say, you are where you are. You're right where you need to be right now. It's okay. It's okay. You're okay. And then gently, in conversation, not as a statement, is would he want you to be sad every day? Plant that seed.
Okay.
Would he want you to be sad every day?
Wow.
Isn't love a fantastic thing that our loved ones would hate to see us stuck, in our life, however you
Mhm.
verbalize it, but weave it into conversation.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Don't be confrontational, because we can't. The people in that state, we're not ready for anybody to tell us what to do.
Right.
We shut down straight away.
Mhm.
Yet for the person that's giving the advice, for them, it's so easy to say, hey, get on with your life. You're still alive, live. But
Mhm.
if you're grieving and you're feeling you've just lost your husband, whether it's been 10 years or 50, it doesn't matter. Is, hey, would you want to see? Let's reverse it. I've done this as well with a client as well. And she was going, well, I'm just going to be like this for the rest of my life. It was before she started working with me. And I said to her, what does that life look like?
Mhm.
If the roles were reversed, would you want to be looking down from heaven or wherever we go, because we go somewhere? Would you want to be walking next to your loved one, trying to lift them up all the time and tell them to move on, and it's not even moving on, it's moving forward.
Right. Right.
You know,
It's still living because you died with that person if you are still there, and it's as if you're no longer here either because you've checked out.
that's right. And we do die with that person.
Mhm.
That's the reality, is we do die with that person. Now we can either remain in that state or we can move forward. Now, moving forward is living their legacy, truly living their legacy.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah.
So my last question for you, and I think that this is something where I'm going to tweak it to what I usually ask women. It's always the park bench question, but this one for you is much different. If you were sitting on a park bench next to somebody who hasn't lost her husband yet, okay, what advice would you give that person?
Love him. Don't talk bad of him. Be present. Love all his quirkiness, because, the longer we're married, sometimes we go, oh my God, how could you do this? Um, be present. I think the biggest thing is be present for him and for each other. Accept all the dirty socks and jocks that keep lying around, and having to pick up after them, because let's face it, that's what we as women do. We're constantly picking up, putting things in the dishwasher, and don't let those little things annoy you. I see it so often with couples, and I look at them and I think, wow, they've been married 50 years, and it's like, oh my God, he farts in the bedroom and I can't stand it. Da-da-da. When he's gone, you're going to miss that. You're going to miss that.
Kids, I really look forward to the day where I am no longer here, but I'm like sitting on the sideline. I want to believe that you get to attend your funeral, right? And so I'm constantly saying, I don't as much as I used to, but I always say to my kids, when I'm dead, you're going to, and they're like, Mom, stop talking about you dying all the time. I'm like, but you're going to miss this about me and you're going to laugh about this. And I want you to do this. And so I really do think that you are like, you always mourn what you don't have. So why
Yes.
not enjoy what you have today? That to me, it's just something I've really tried to live by lately.
And it's the little things. Now, my husband was an awful snorer. Oh my goodness. Some nights I used to want to kill him in his sleep, because I couldn't sleep. It was like, roll over, roll over. And then he'd go, I don't snore. But when he died, the deathly silence in that bedroom, I couldn't sleep because of it.
Interesting. Interesting.
So it's the
Mhm.
little things that annoy you.
Right.
Embrace them. Embrace them. Don't let them annoy you. There's the little things. I'm not talking about the big major things that are problems, but the little things that annoy you. Embrace them. That's who they are. You married them, or with kids, you have your kids that don't clean up after themselves. And I always used to say to my daughters, when I get older and I'm an old lady, I'm going to grow the hairs on my legs to like 5 inches long. Then I'm going to put baby oil in the bath and I'm going to shave my legs, and I'm just going to pull the plug out and I'm going to leave it, so it all sticks to the bath. That
Right.
was my dream.
That's so great. Visualize. Now make it
Visualize, visualize.
got a couple more years before that happens, but visualize. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I can't say it enough. It's the little things.
Mhm.
Embrace the little things in life and in death. Embrace the little things.
Well, you have been an absolute delight. I'm sorry to keep you so long. It's just I could talk to you all day. Like I said, if somebody wanted to, one of our listeners resonated with you and they felt like, I really do want to contact you, how do they find you?
The easiest way is just to go to my website, Flow Grief Academy. I've got links to everything. I've got links to the program, what it's all about. I've got links to my Facebook pages. I've got links to, it's all there. One-stop shop on my website. That's the easiest place. I mean, I have so much that I can send you to. I've got a podcast. I've got everything. But just go to the website and see where you want to be. Because I also help others as well. So if you want to become a flow grief coach, if that's something that you want to help people in loss, that's there too. But it's all on my website.
Thank you. That's fantastic. Well, again, Unbreakable Mompreneurs, if you are struggling with grief and you're not sure how to live your life after the loss, then please reach out to Denise and know that there is a life and find that gift. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Beautiful moms, remember, you are unbreakable. Keep illuminating the world with your strength, pursuing your dreams, and reveling in the splendor of motherhood. This is Cherise Walker, bidding you farewell for now. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations on the next episode of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. Until then, keep shining bright. Signing off with love, Cherise Walker.